So Ant-Man and the Wasp. I guess my first reaction about this movie was, it wasn't a terrible movie, but I felt like um, they were trying to. I don't know. I just think, I guess what it really comes down to is Peyton Reed, who was the director, is not really the guy that they need for Ant-Man. And while he does a fine job with most of the stuff, he's just, he's serviceable. I think as a director, he directed the movie without like a lot of great actual flaws in the movie. But the problem is he was really not very successful at a lot of things. I mean, it's like, it's a boat that doesn't sink, but it doesn't really. It's just okay. It's nothing really special about it, really, and I feel like there was a lot of potential there to be a lot more than it was, and I think that he really lacks character as a director. Like, his I can't tell exactly what is his style. Like, there were some parts in the movie that kind of felt like they were like a repeat of things that happened from the first movie, but I couldn't tell if those things were actually um, put there by Edgar Wright in the first movie, and maybe Peyton Reed was repeating those things, or if those were actually things that he had came up with for the first movie, and then he was just repeating his own um, thing. Because right now, when I look at the movie, I can't put my finger on it and say, well, or something that says that this is Peyton Reed who directed this movie. And I feel like while it it tried to stick with the Marvel formula, with the comedy and the breaking up the more dramatic moments with the comedy, which I believe is called no, I can't remember the name. It's a Bathos, one of those, where they break up the dramatic moments with comedy. It tried to stick to that formula and do that, but the timing was off. And the saying that comedy is all about timing. And I feel like a lot of the jokes either hit too too early, too late, or went on a little too long, or uh, they just didn't have the right emphasis and the right place at the right time to really make the joke land. If you could compare it to like gymnastics, it's like gymnasts, doing the flip and then just stumbling. Like when they land, they didn't land and stick the landing. They sort of just stumbled, you know. But it wasn't an awful movie, and Marvel movies really are awful. And as much as I want to give the movie points for the things that I like, and the things that I like, it's like it didn't do really anything that I liked. It's just that I like the characters, and I like Ant-Man. I like the property, and I like the the whole world of Ant-Man. So uh, it's not really my like or my enjoyment of the movie is not really due to anything that the movie did well. And I must say this because I've mentioned this before, probably on the other channel that I made. I wasn't really sure what to do with it, but uh, what happened with Cassie Lang and Marvel Comics is made even more clear and abundant as a slight to her character in Marvel Comics when you see the movie. As I have made my displeasure with this known already before, if not more than once, that the Ant-Man and the Wasp comic book that's ongoing right now with Scott Lang and the character, the new character, Nadia. She used to be called Nadia Pym. Now she's called Nadia Van Dyne, who is really just a character whose sole purpose, whose sole creation, is based just upon her being just like a little feminist propaganda. She's a real piece of crap character. She's not really worth anything. They created her simply to be just this smart, strong, independent young girl or whatever, and pretend that she was like uh, uh, rebelling against the male dominated little boys club or whatever of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, otherwise also known as STEM. And really, she just comes off as exactly what she is, a propaganda character. No, she has nothing to endure anyone to this character, and yet for this new series, rather than put in Scott Lang's daughter, Cassie Lang, who was already they had brought back from the dead and who was ready, available to be put in the book with Scott Lang, they instead put this piece of crap, bland, boring, characterless feminist insert Nadia Pym or Nadia Van Dyne into the book instead. And here we are. Here I am watching a movie and hearing Cassie say how she wanted to be his partner, how she should be his partner, and things like that. And all I can do is think about this stupid comic book that they have going on now that I will not buy, that I would have bought if they put Cassie in it. And all I can do is just sit there and think about it like, wow, whoever made the decision to not put Cassie in that book with her dad should be feeling like some stupid, like they should be kicking themselves in the ass so hard that their foot actually gets stuck in their colon. They really should be kicking themselves about this. Cassie should have been in the book with her dad, Scott. Just like at the end of the Ant-Man series, it was called The Astonishing Ant-Man, that ended probably last year, if not earlier this year. I think it ended last year. When it ended with Scott and Cassie Lang um, going. It looks like they look like they were about to go on adventures together, and they were basically hinted at having a series that would probably be called Ant-Man and Stinger. But they could have easily Cassie could have easily taken up the mantle of the Wasp instead of the Stinger, or instead of Stinger. But they instead went with Nadia, who makes she's just such a frustrating character. She is, and Cassie, she basically just got discriminated against because she's not as smart as, she's not that feminist power fantasy that Nadia is. And that's what it really comes down to. Even though that Cassie is a better character, a far superior character with longer history, more heroics under her belt. Um, she's been a young Avenger. She fought in the Children's Crusade, and she was um, uh 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 even in the Ultimate Universe, she was a pretty capable superhero, and she has everything going for her, and it should have been her, but it was about propaganda. So instead, they went with the character they created solely for the purpose of being a feminist power fantasy. And this book, Marvel, you just what kind of discrimination is that? Can we call that intellectual discrimination or something? The fact that they discriminated against Cassie, who should have been in the book with her dad, but got left out. Anyway, I'm way off the movie now. I'm way off the movie. Anyway, it wasn't a bad movie. It could have been better, but it wasn't bad by far. I would say it's probably um, just above the Thor movies. Pretty much the Thor movies are pretty much at the bottom. Thor 1, and I actually probably like the second Thor more than the first. They are, they're not bad movies, but anyway, this Ant-Man movie is probably just above them. And Like I said, but none of them are really truly bad though. They're just not really that great. Anyway, I'm just gonna be fuming about the fact that Cassie is not in this book all night and probably forever. I hate Marvel right now. I hate them so much. And that's the end of the video. Thanks for listening.